Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Premodern Showdown Series. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined tonight by Flint Espel. Say hi, Flint.
Hi, everybody.
All right, I I'll talk about tonight's schedule, and then I'll address why our schedule looks a little bit different. So we're starting things off with Ron against James, in a match that I'm really looking forward to. I like uh, I always like the John and James or Ron and James's play skill. I feel like they're always pretty sharp players, so I'm looking forward to that one. And then I guess you could say the same thing about the the last match, John between Jared, and so we'll see how that goes when things line up. I will briefly talk about the Thursday schedule. We only have one match that will be played for the Showdown series. We had a scheduling conflict, so we'll need to move that match to a later date. But we still will have two matches of Magic played. Our second match will be one that is from the Premodern Super Gauntlet. So I have a recorded match that I will be doing, and not only is our schedule a little different, but Flint will not be there on Thursday. We have Brian Manalakis will be filling in for Flint. So few
Thanks,
changes.
thanks, Mano.
Yes, so a few things will be different on Thursday, but still will be an exciting show. All right, back to tonight. Let's go over our bans for Ron and James. Ron has Suicide Black, Replenish, and Prison Oath. His Replenish deck is banned, while James has Blue Black, Stifle Knot, Five Color Sligh, and the Star Spangled Slaughter deck. His Star Spangled Slaughter deck is banned. Flint, a prediction real briefly. What will Ron play? What will James play?
Oh man. I think Ron will play Oath, and James will play the Sligh deck. I don't know.
Okay. And so let's go to the decks, and we will see that Ron is playing the Prison Oath deck. So
Okay.
good job, Flint. So briefly, what this deck is trying to do, one piece of it is play Oath of the Druids. Hope your opponent has a creature, and if they do, you get to Oath up Phantom Neshoba, the 7-drop trampling. Not quite lifelink, the old version of it. Whenever it deals damage, you gain that much life. So if they don't have a creature, it has Funeral Pyre to try and give the opponent a token. Other than that, it has some controlling or prison-y lockdown elements. So Sphere Resistance makes things cost more. Rishton Port can tap down lands. Dust Bowl can repeatedly take out lands. Wastelands will take out non-basics. And then just kind of control the game, slow things down, and set up shop. So that's what the Prison Oath deck is looking to do. It will be up against the 5-color Sligh deck. So very good, Flint. With the 10 seconds
Aw,
of
shucks. Thank you.
10 seconds of analysis you did, you predicted things correctly. So good work. So this Sligh deck is 5-color Sligh because of Mox Diamond and Enlightened Tutor and quite a little toolbox that it has. So it covers a lot of the weaknesses that a traditional Sligh deck would have in terms of powerful hate cards aren't as good against it because of access to cards like Seal Cleansing. And that will be an important card, I think, in this matchup, as we'll go over shortly. But James is often been an aggressive deck in the first games, and then in the sideboarded games, a lot of cards have often been brought in, and he's been a lot more disruptive, and the pressure's a little bit lighter, but he has found answers to the problems he has faced, and he's done pretty well with this deck so far. So
It's that famous quote, Sly finds a way.
okay,
Is that how it goes?
yeah. Is that like the bonus edition of Jurassic Park?
Perhaps.
Yeah. So onto the key cards. We will look at the green cards out of the Oath of Druids deck. Oath of Druids, obviously a key card. It's going to be on the mind of both players. Particular James is going to have to know that if he's playing a creature, he probably wants to have a way to get rid of it or hope it's a temporary creature like Ball Lightning or Mog Fanatic. And then out of the sideboard, because when I looked at Ron's list, uh, I feel like James has a lot of ways to cover what Ron's trying to do. So I think the 3 Ravenous Baloths out of the sideboard will be a big role player in the sideboard games because, frankly, they're just bigger than what James has and can apply a little bit of pressure. And because I don't know how often he'll be triggering Oath thanks to some of James's answers. So I think Ravenous Baloth might be a sideboard card that'll come in. So from the 5-color Sligh, there's 1 copy of Seal Cleansing in the main, which is very important. And then there's 2 more in the sideboard. But that is a great answer to Oath of Druids. And then also has a number of targets of Sylvan Library, Sphere of Resistance, and activated Mishra's Factory. So there's no shortage of targets for the Seal Cleansing. And is the cleanest answer he has to Oath of Druids in game 1. And then Enlightened Tutor is the 4 copies of it. So there's only 1 seal in the main, but Enlightened Tutor is a way to go get it. And then also Enlightened Tutor helps get other silver bullets, though I think Seal Cleansing is going to be the primary target in this matchup. Maybe you could say Engineered Plague to name Spirit, but that is what I anticipate to be the important cards. So I am going to get a poll ready real quick before I forget too much. Is there anything you want to add real quick about this matchup that you think will happen, Flint?
Nope.
Okay.
I think let's go and get started.
All right. I'll just throw this up real quick. So people in the chat, now is your opportunity to bet your channel points, throw them in, win big, show everyone you know your pre-modern stuff. But Flint, you can know what's going on. Oh, let me reduce the game win from Ron. He does not start with a game win.
Take it.
So. All right. Ron is on the play. Oh, I would like to thank... Oh, my camera's falling down. I would like to thank our subscriber. It would be none other than Flint. So thank you.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust that subscriber.
All right.
It's nobody mulligan, by the way.
Okay. So Mog Fanatic is a nice card that James can play. Doesn't have to worry about that one because he can get rid of it if an Oath of Druids comes down. And Ron does have an Enlightened Tutor, which leads me to believe that he would get Oath, but I can see him getting other cards as well.
Might just get a sphere here or something.
Yep, Sphere Resistance is the choice. Okay. All right, so Ron's looking to slow down James and make the game go a little bit longer. So Jared says, "I'm rooting for a draw because I like them both so much." That would be did we ever get a draw in any of the PSSs, like with a Shepherd of Rot?
I don't know if we did with the Shepherd. That's a good question.
I cannot remember.
I know we did in our very first match when Andrew played Ron.
Yeah.
But that was because we had a time limit.
Yeah. But we since removed the time issue. We just try the players to encourage them to finish, but we didn't want too many of the games just finishing in draws, so here is a 3-mana Oath of Druids.
Pretty good start from Ron.
Yeah, so Ron, I guess one thing I note is his only colored source is the Brushland, so he has been taking some little chips of damage to play his colored spells with Enlightened Tutor and Oath of Druids. But Ron had to remind James that his Mox Diamond does cost an extra mana.
Indeed it does.
So the Mog Fanatic gets one little attack in, and then he flings himself at Ron, so that way Oath of Druids does not trigger during his upkeep.
Gabe, that is a Seal of Fire on James's side of the board.
I like Seal of Fire. I mean, I just feel like it. I don't know when it. I don't even feel like it's that good in pre-modern, but I like that type of card. Like 2 damage for 1 mana is if that's good, then the format's good, kind of thing.
Shockingly appropriate.
Yes, I know. I was always a fan of playing Seal of Fire over Shock, and I think I've been convinced. You told me otherwise to play Shock, and so I do a lot more.
So Ron down to 12 here, but James, of course, running a non-traditional list. He doesn't quite have the reach, and it's even harder, of course, given that the oath is on the board.
Yeah. So, and at this point, like when Ron is presenting a bunch of ways to attack with his lands, James might have to devote some of his burn spells to those as well.
Mhm.
All right. So in upkeep, Ron will tap a mountain, and then James says, "I'd like to cast this incinerate right now."
I think
So
he's going to try to race.
yeah. So I guess because I'm thinking the burn spells in James's deck are Fire Ice, which is not a super effective burn spell in this matchup. 4 bolt. Does he have four for the full 4 incinerate? I don't recall. All right, so Ron goes to. Oh, he is at 9. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, James has already cast 1 bolt, so he has 3 bolts, 1 incinerate, and 4 fire ice left in his deck. I mean, he still has a sulfuric vortex if it comes to that, and a scroll, but he's already used his or his fires. 1 fires in the battlefield as well.
He's just firing off another incinerate, so I
Indeed, he
think
is.
his hand just might be full of burn spells. I mean, like, given how I mean, I guess super resistance also changes that. Like, you have to kind of know what you're gonna do because you can't just deploy them all in one turn like you would in a normal match. But
Right.
uh, yeah, it seems like given by a little bit of his body language, it almost seems like he has enough burn spells and he's just waiting for the enough time to cast them.
Oof. Second sphere resistance from Ron.
Well, other than like ball lightning, I mean, I don't think James needs that much more mana to cast a lot of his spells. Right. Ron has a Sylvan library in play that he'll look at a few extra cards for the time being. Don't think he'll be taking any extra cards at this point, given that there's a Seal of Fire in play. All right, so Street Top Village is trying to get it done. Yeah, that's also true. Yes, that the Seal of Fire is an added protection against the Funeral Pyre.
Mhm.
So it's a nice clean answer too because you don't have to worry about your because the spells are kind of clunky now because of the spheres. That you just have a nice clean answer always on board right now for it.
And interesting, Ron not porting during James's upkeep, so I assume he's got a Swords of Plowshares in his hand. So if he needs to activate his factory and swords his own land, he's got some life gain.
Well, yeah, it could be his protection against like ball lightning too. Oh, he is going for
Uh,
the he's going for the Funeral Pyre, so I'll bring that one up. So that will force James to use the Seal of Fire on that token. I missed an attack from Treetop Village, so James is at 13, while Ron is at 5. So at this point, I mean, almost any 2 burn spells for James, because a lot of his burn spells deal 2. I guess not a lot. There's the Seal of Fire and then the 4 Fire Ice. But then there's the Incinerates and the Bolts that deal 3. But he really doesn't have that much time, and like two burn spells is quite a lot. So like Jackal Pups are really bad, I guess, and the card like Mogfanac doesn't really change the clock because he's at 5 and not 4. And yeah, if his mana's getting tapped as upkeep, then he's either even further away from a card like Ball Lightning doing some
Right.
damage. And like Ron does have Wasteland because James with the 5 color slide does have a number of non basics with Undiscovered Paradise and City of Brass, so that could come into play too. So I think is that die on his hand? Is that saying that he has 6 cards in hand that James does?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a bunch of cards in his hand, but either they're cards he doesn't want to cast, like Jackal Pup, or cards he can't cast, like Ball Lightning. Because I imagine if he has burn spells like Fire Ice, he'd probably just want to be firing them off.
Yeah. I almost wonder if he's got a ball lightning or two and he had kind of set the play up to do the 6, but then the second sphere stopped that.
Well, Gabe's talking about this, saying that we know that James doesn't have a burn spell. He could have a card like Bolt or something that deals more than 2 damage in his hand still, and he didn't want to use it on the sphere or on the token. Oh, they're saying because he would have used the seal on Ron otherwise. Yeah, he could. I mean, a few turns have gone by since then, so he could have drawn it. But yeah, I guess that does make sense. Though, yeah, I wouldn't have had it at that point because he just would have sealed and then untapped and did it because the oath trigger would have put the Neshoba in play, but then he wouldn't have been able to attack that turn. So,
Mm-hmm.
all right, well, Treetops attacking,
Doing some work.
and I mean, there's a Mishra's factory, so like this next turn, Ron could fire both the Treetop Village and the Mishra's factory and attack for lethal. So James is gonna kind of like now or never. I think he's getting 2 of his mana untapped with the upkeep. So yeah, this is tough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we see a hand of
Oh,
3
man.
Ball Lightnings, 2 Mox Divins. I think there was an Enlightened Tutor and whatnot. So that's James throwing in the towel and showing Ron that those Sphere Resistance and Rishadan Port did a good job of keeping him casting that 3 mana spell. All right, let's go to the decks so we can talk about sideboards.
All right.
All right. So Tormod's Crypt, Wrath of God, Phyrexian Furnace, Elephant Grass. You could maybe make an argument for Elephant Grass, but I don't think so. Circle Protection Red definitely comes in. I don't think you bring in Defense Grid, but I mean, I mean, it definitely would. I guess it wouldn't really change things. I guess it protects your like Treetop Village and your Vicious Factory. That's the only like good it does. Curse Totem doesn't seem effective. Null Rod, you have your own Mox Diamonds as well as James, so
Yeah.
Sacred Ground doesn't need it. Ivory Mask I think would come in. I guess that's a card that we could have talked about being a good one. Oh, there's only one
One
Ravenous
Baloth.
list. I was thinking that there
Yeah.
was 3. I think some of the lists had 3, and maybe that's John's list. But so that one Ravenous Baloth is probably gonna be a lot less impactful than I had talked it up in the
Just a
pregame.
bit. Yeah, I think it's Circle of Protection, um, Ivory Mask, and Ravenous Baloth for sure.
All right, we'll look at the Sligh deck. So 2 Disenchant, 2 Seal Cleansing. Those cards seem very good. Are there other cards in the sideboard that you're interested in bringing in? I don't really think so.
Not really. No. I think that's really it. Yeah, I think that's all that I would want to bring in.
What do you think are the worst cards in James' deck?
I think Standstill is terrible.
Okay.
Um, I think Sulfuric Vortex is actually potentially good because it stops Neshoba life gain.
I think
Plague is decent against Spirit, actually.
I don't think you're. I think if Nishoba's in play, I don't think you're winning any of those games.
Probably
So
not.
I bet like, and I almost think Sulfur Cortex could be bad in this matchup because Ron has so many ways to attack, like with Treetop Village and Mishra's Factory. I mean, I can see there's definitely spots where it's going to be good. I'll agree there, because if it will put Ron on a decent clock, but there are definitely it's not just like a slam dunk. Is what I'm saying because there's going to be opportunities where Ron can race a Sulfuric Vortex.
You could just take out Jackal Pup, some number of Jackal Pups, and stand still, and maybe that's the route that you go.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Uh, I mean, I like Jackal Pup a little bit more on the play because it just you might get in for 2 to 4 damage before you have to use a
Sure.
burn spell on it. But
If he's got answers for Oath, then it's really, it's pretty decent.
that
Ron does
is
have a
true.
lot of
He
man
does
lands.
like he has a lot more answers to Oath in the post border games, so he might kind of how we had seen it in previous matchups where he he used his disruption and then summoned a turn 5 Jackal Pup and then attacked with it a few more turns after he disrupted his opponent again. So that could be a
Yeah.
strategy that maybe James is going for because and like 1 mana is a lot cheaper than 3 in terms of like we saw a ball lightning get clogged in the hand because of seal or sphere resistance. So the blue card above the plagues is Arcane Laboratory, so each player can't cast more than 1 spell per turn. So probably not coming in this matchup, but we did see it against the Stifle Knot deck. So. All right, I'll jump back down to the match. Looks like the players are just finishing shuffling up. Let me sit back down in my chair real low where I've got my camera placed. Okay, so if you're James, I mean, there's a lot of hands that I think are very reasonable. I think you just want to have access to a disenchant effect, and there's at least 8 cards with inline tutor. I guess there's 4 inline tutor, 3 spell cleansing, and 2 disenchant. So there are quite a number of them. Gabe, I am 6 feet tall. So
Pretty good for volleyball.
yeah, not like certainly not anything large for in terms of like competitive volleyball, but also my vertical is not for volleyball is not very great. So
All right, so we see an end of turn bolt here from James.
we see the aggressive burn path again. So
Yeah. You're a handsome height. Right.
I'm jealous of one of the guys I play with. He's like 5'10", but he jumps way higher than I do. And like he can dunk a basketball. Maybe he can't anymore. Well, when he was in college, he could, but he had like a 30, or I think he said he had like a 40-inch vertical or something. And mine's like 26, so now his is like 32, but still, I don't know.
But did he have a Sylvan library, right? Because James does. And he's
Yeah,
looking to use it.
I think you can dunk on some people with Sylvan Library, and
I think you can.
the Sylvan Library on James' side is a lot different than the one in Ron's because of the the life total is a little bit different of a resource for James and Ron. Uh, though, I mean, I did talk about like the Treetop Village and the Mishra's Factory definitely can pressure if you get a little too aggressive with the seal, but or the Sylvan Library. But I think in general, James is more likely to pay extra life for the cards than Ron will.
Going for that seal cleansing. Seems good.
Mike, I did not
Oh,
realize you're that tall.
6'4".
I would have guessed you were 6'1". Okay.
Tall dude.
I think there's a lot of people like I think Robin's really tall as well. People have said, um, and who else have they said is really tall? But because how tall are you, Flint?
How tall do you think I am?
I thought you were 6 foot.
I'm 6'2".
Okay. Everyone's just taller than I
Yeah.
think. We should have like a pre-modern basketball game and see how that goes.
I'm so bad at basketball.
It's not my best sport, but
I would rather play volleyball.
okay. I have to imagine that like if we just did a pickup game of a sport, volleyball would not be the choice. I mean, maybe for like socially it'd be fine, but like if you wanted to do like a competitive thing, I'm guessing it's a lot harder for people to do any volleyball. All right,
Probably.
I've been a little sidetracked. Obviously, volleyball is something that can get me talking, but Seal of Cleansing will take out the Sylvan Library, and then James will fire off a lightning bolt again at Ron to bring him down to 12.
We got another pesky sphere on the battlefield here, and so basically Ron just looking to kind of slow things down. He's not in danger yet. We'll see how the next couple of turns go.
Passing on the pre-modern volleyball.
There's the vortex.
Have you ever heard of the anime Haikyuu? I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's about volleyball.
No, I
Okay.
haven't.
I didn't know how well known it is. So I don't know what. I guess so. We did Halloween at my brother-in-law's, and his daughter is really into anime, and she also just started playing volleyball. So I think that probably thought me like so. Sunday night, I went home and I'm like, I'm gonna start watching this anime, and it was on Netflix, and I watched like 3 or 4 episodes because they're only 20 minutes long, and uh, it got
And you were hooked.
no, it got taken off of Netflix the next day.
Oh,
I mean, I found other ways to watch it, but it was just kind of funny. All right,
oh man.
Sulfuric Vortex is in play. How did that vortex get in play with the sphere? Are there only 3 lands?
There was an undiscovered paradise
Oh, okay. All right.
in play.
All right.
James said.
That's good. I was to say, I'm
Yeah,
confused.
return during his untap step. All right. So we'll see if your prediction of the vortex being a bad thing and ultimately finishing James off
Yeah, because
comes
there's
to pass.
right now there's a Mistress Factory in play, but
And he's also got a wasteland and a Rashadenport.
yeah, I guess in that port with a City of Brass in play can ping-a-ling-a-ling.
Premodern baseball. I would play baseball. I'd rather play soccer.
Well, I guess
But I'm probably too old for that now. My joints just don't work as well as they used to.
probably like doing a pickup baseball game. Like, I mean, I don't know how often you play baseball with less than 9 people or whatever it is, but that's a lot of people. Like, it's easier to pick like a basketball. We only need like 5 on 5.
We could play. We could play hopscotch. What if we just had a hopscotch tournament?
I do soccer. I do I pretty much do any sport.
Soccer would be really fun.
Kickball, but that's probably
Kickball
the same number of
yeah,
people as
same
you need
as baseball. In the meantime, it looks like Ron's down to 6, and James is also at 6 here.
Now I kind of want to do like, I'm interested. Like, what is the ranking? Like, well, the pick order for pre-modern players for each sport.
We'll have to have a super gauntlet.
Well, I guess until I actually learn like the height of some people, it might not be the most accurate tier list if I don't even know how tall people are.
Jared says, if we all get together, we're just playing cards. We're just going to play Magic.
Like euchre? We're going to play euchre? I'd play some euchre.
I will be shocked if anybody outside of Wisconsin knows what euchre is.
Like knows, doesn't, you said like knows how to play it or even heard of it?
I will be shocked if they have heard of it, and really shocked if they know how to play.
Okay, because I assumed that people had heard of it, but just didn't know how to play it. Like, is Sheep's Head like a people play that? Is that a Wisconsin thing, or is that a?
Jared knows it.
Right.
I didn't know about Sheep's Head until I moved to Wisconsin either, but that
Okay.
doesn't necessarily mean. Jared Doucette knows euchre. All right. Ron's at 4. James is at 3. Uh-oh.
And there's a treetop village there. Well, and a Mistress Factory.
Yeah.
But there's a Seal of Fire And
Do it
Ron is at
now.
Ron is at 4.
Oh, I guess he could still untap, activate, and swords.
Oh, okay, yep.
Oh wait, no, he
No,
can't
there's
swords
no
because he can't
life.
gain life. So yeah, just do it now. Yep, and that should be game. Woo.
Ron is gonna
It's
ask
gonna.
if maybe James wants to blow up the sphere resistance right now,
I thought you were
or
gonna say if James wants to concede.
I was like, I guess maybe he's thinking Ron might want to blow up the sulfur cortex at the end of James's turn, but nope. So the Sligh deck equalizes, and it will be going to a game 3.
All right.
I am gonna pull up the standings because I guess that's something that I forgot to talk about, and since we've kind of already gone over the board or the sideboards, so we'll look at where we're at. So this is week 5 that we're at, and we have 3 players that are all 3-1. That is, one of them is James. He's playing against Ron, who is 2-2. So Ron looking to climb a little bit up if he can beat James, and James looking to stay on top at X1 if he wins. And then our later match is John against Jared. So those are both 3-1 players. So we got the top half of the standings in today's match. So that's what we're looking at.
Exciting games.
Only J names can win. Maybe. Oh no, my graphic is off. Go away. I'm gonna fix that.
I let them know they can start the last game when ready.
All right.
While they're doing that, check out this card that I got in the mail.
Ooh, it's Flint's #1 card from Mirage.
Japanese Spirit of the Night. All right. It was a gift from
Oh,
a fellow lover of Spirit of the Night who also likes Japanese and Korean modern cards.
I have an idea who that is.
I thought you might.
I think anyone who's active in the Facebook group knows
Yeah.
who is the #1 fan of foreign Korean cards are.
Thank you again to that specific person. Cheers, cheers. All right. Who's going to take this down, Mike?
My heart kind of says James, but I don't know. I picked him to win the thing, and I really like this 5-color Sligh deck, especially how it plays in the post sideboard games. And like to me, it feels like the good guy, even though it's kind of weird to say because it's like a Sligh deck. But I don't know. I wouldn't be unhappy if Ron won, but my heart says that James is going to win. Do you have an opinion?
Ooh. I mean, I think if I'm Ron, I'm looking pretty aggressively to try to get a sphere to see if I can turn one sphere and then go from there against James. But and I think if Ron can have some sort of early prison strategy like that, then I think he's in pretty good position. But otherwise, I think James is still advantaged after sideboard, just given the amount of enchantment hate that he's packing. So my prediction is the game will be decided depending on how the first 3 turns go.
All right. I'm thinking about sports. I'm thinking about if we played football, who would I pick first out of the pre-modern group? I think I know who I'd pick first, but I'm assuming it's flag football too. But
I don't really know the rules of American football very well. I could play it, but I feel like I would probably commit all kinds of fouls and not realize that I was doing it.
like, you wouldn't like be able to play like a pickup game of football without like knowing.
I mean, I think I could, but like things like offsides and stuff like that, I don't quite understand.
No,
So,
you just can't be past like that invisible line until the ball snapped.
what about my big noggin?
No, that's part of your body. Would not
What about my nose?
your nose technically. I guess I'm not 100% sure, but
What
I
if the
don't.
wind is blowing and my hair crosses the line?
Uh, I don't know. Like, I don't know if it has to be something that's like physically contact with the ground. Like, if it would have to be your hand. Like, if you could lean over as part of the defense. I think maybe you could as long as you don't touch them. I'm not actually sure, but I think in our pickup game, I don't think that's gonna come into play. Do you think we would like hire a ref? Is that what you think?
Maybe I could be the ref because
Of...
I don't know very much.
Yes,
It would be
yeah.
hilarious.
Flint just says he doesn't know the rules, and now he wants to be the ref. That's quite the
It would
turnaround.
be fun. I could make stuff up.
We could bribe you probably.
Jared, of course, I understand offsides in soccer. It's easy.
I don't understand offsides in hockey. That's the one. There is a different. No, it's I don't understand icing. It's like I thought I understood it, and then I went to a game a lot later. Like I went to a college game, and I'm like, this is not what I remember. It seemed a lot less intuitive than I remembered. I don't know if they ever changed the rules of icing, but
I can't skate well enough. I mean, I can skate, but I can't. I can't skate very well. So I would definitely not be down for a game of pre-modern ice hockey.
well, I think Aaron Dix would be probably my pick number one, right, for hockey, right? Because he plays and he's
Oh yeah,
in the Minnesota area. He plays, right? Because was he from California at any point? I know he's
he lived in California for a while. Yeah.
okay.
Anyway, back to the game.
Yeah,
Some things have happened, and here
just
comes a ball lightning.
we've been derailed.
Oh,
The
okay.
source paw shares. Well, he gets to gain 6 life, so
Pretty good. Pretty good.
this conversation is enlightening and depressing. What's hockey? Never heard of it. Hockey's like do like in the warm places, do they not play like roller hockey ever? Is that like not a thing?
I'm sure it's a thing.
Like we would just be on roller skates and play hockey in like a cul-de-sac when we were little. I made it to the stream. Hi Caustic. How's it going?
Welcome. All right, there's the vortex.
Yeah, this though I felt like Ron was at a little bit lower life. Though I guess James is at 25 now, so
24 with a timely fetch.
okay. Caustic, thank you for the follow. Welcome.
2 hockey teams in Florida. Sports stream.
Well, like my schools have like ice rinks, so like even if it's like not based on the weather, do they not have those down south? I guess.
No, no, no,
Okay.
no.
All right.
A lot different.
Because like in theory, a warm state could still have a
Sure.
hockey team.
Probably more of an affluent school, I would imagine, though, to be able
Sure.
to have the money to afford something
Hockey
like
is
that.
like
Maybe a private school.
hockey's like the most expensive sport from what I heard. Like there's a ton of traveling and like all the gear is like really expensive.
Yeah, the gear doesn't look cheap.
And it doesn't smell good, is what I've heard. Worst smelling gear. I think they did what was that TV show?
Like a MythBusters kind
Yeah,
of show or
I
something
think
like
they did
that.
a I think they did a Mythbusters, or it was like a sports science or something on it, on like the stinkiest gear, and I think hockey won.
Nice. Yeah, I did boxing for a number of years, and your gloves just reek. But I can't. But that's like hockey. It's like everything is your boxing gloves because you have a
Mhm.
full suit, just soaking up that sweat, all those pads.
All right, well, we see a lightning bolt deployed, and the sulfuric vortex is Ron seems under the gun now. I guess like when it's 10 to 20, and the sulfuric vortex is in play, and there's no manland in sight, then I think that the sulfuric vortex might go the distance.
It might. Jared has seen his breath once.
I'm kind of jealous of that. It was 32 degrees when I was just driving home today. And that, I guess, in Celsius for my European, I guess that's just 0 degrees. I guess I do know that one. There was, I was watching a show. I've been watching a lot of stuff about film and photography, and they were
And you're
talking
not
about,
watching volleyball anime.
no, But this guy was talking about how cold it was. He was doing a photo shoot for like Mercedes Benz or something, and he's like, it was negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and they did like a translation. I feel like it was in the closed captioning or something.
Mhm.
But negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit is also negative 40 degrees Celsius. So I just thought it was kind of a coincidence that the temperature he said was just the same in both. What is it? What are
Fahrenheit
those?
and Celsius
Yeah, but what are those called?
scales,
Scales? Is that what it is? Kelvin.
temperature scales.
How many degrees is it? Is negative 40 Kelvin or
I
negative
don't.
40 degrees
I cannot
Celsius? Is
do
that
that
Kelvin?
math from the top of my head. All right. So James end of turn Enlightened Tutored for a sale and then runs it out just in case Sneaky Ron has a funeral pyre here.
I like that name, Sneaky Ron. Do you think we can get that to stick?
Yeah. Put that in his instead of Ron Taylor. Sneaky Ron.
Here, wait, I could do that. All right, if anyone's familiar with Streamlabs OBS, watch how slow this updates.
All right, another oath.
And I don't know why, but it takes an ungodly amount of time for that text
Oh
to
yeah. Got there eventually. James decides he's going to keep his spirit, get in for some sweet beats. And then is he just going to
He does have the fire ice.
one to the spirit, one to Ron?
Yep. I'm way behind. Maybe if I wasn't like updating people's nicknames or
Well, there's a bolt.
talking about
There's a bolt. So
temperatures.
it's gonna close the game out. So James is gonna take it down 2-1.
He has defeated Sneaky Ron.
Defeated Sneaky Ron.
I feel like, I mean, if you just hear that name, I feel like it sounds like somebody like he did something like shady. But
We love Ron.
yes, so that's that's my only opposition to the nickname of Sneaky Ron. But all right, we'll listen to the players, see if
All right.
they have. You guys probably want at this point. They probably want to hear them instead of us.
I'm really interested in where Sneaky Ron came from.
Yeah, we're gonna need the backstory there.
That's Flint. I was gonna say because he just said he's like James is gonna need to do this.
No,
like,
I said because you had the oath in play, and I was updating Mike on the game, and I was like, James end a turn Enlightened Tutors to get a Seal Cleansing just in case Sneaky Ron has a funeral pyre, and then it stuck.
yeah. Well, I said I liked it. I said the only problem is that I feel like it has a connotation that like you do like shady things. But I don't know. I updated it quickly because I thought it was funny. If you ever watch the replay of that match, we spent a lot of time talking about other things. Not that the match was not interesting, but I got very sidetracked. So
No, I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch it.
I rewatch all of them anyway.
all right.
Excellent.
So let's talk about bands to start with. Is there, what was your reasoning? Was there a path that you thought maybe the band could lead the decks down, or what was up with those?
So, like, originally my game plan was just ban Sligh on site, but James's list is different enough. It seems slower and more controlling. So I was happy to play the Oath matchup against a slower and more controlling Sligh, or the Replenish matchup against a slower and more controlling Sligh. That's why I didn't ban it this time. I banned it every other time that it's been possible. But I don't like the Star Spangled Slaughter matchup, and yes, that is the name of it, against Replenish, and it's pretty iffy. Not iffy. It's about 50-50 against the Oath. So that's why I banned the Sligh. Is I felt that I had a better matchup overall between Dreadnought and Sligh than I did against Dreadnought and Star Spangled Slaughter.
For me, I don't really think across any of my decks I have a good answer for the replenish deck. So I mean, sure, I can kill an enchantment, but I don't think that really does very much at the end of the day, and I can't stop attunement, I don't know, from coming into play. So that was my logic there. I thought that I was going to be playing against Oath tonight, and I didn't like the Dreadnought matchup. For it's an artifact that will die. Swords is quite good. It's also a creature that I need for 2 turns, so it's pretty useless against Oath. So I felt I was kind of, I had to bring 5-color Sligh, but it was also the deck that I wanted to bring. I thought that it had a good matchup against both Suicide Black. I can kind of go tit for tat and I can kind of outlast Prison Oath because I can actually get rid of some of the enchantments. We're going 1 for 1 is actually valuable there in that matchup. So that was my logic there. I think the games played out pretty on brand for both decks. I think for me, games 2 and 3, Sulfuric Vortex, just like a force, and being able to bait the Seal of Cleansing on the Sylvan Library before bringing in the Sulfuric Vortex or playing the Sulfuric Vortex, I thought that was valuable. And then avoiding Sphere of Resistance in game 3, and also avoiding having non-basic lands in game 3 was valuable for me.
In game 3, was it game 3 or game 2? It was game 2. It might have been a mistake not to get the COP red with my tutor, but looking at James's list, he has 4 Enlightened Tutors, 3 Seal of Cleansing, and 2 Disenchants. So I felt that the likelihood of my COP red even sticking around and making a difference was very low. That's why I went for the Seal of Cleansing, because he doesn't really need to worry about his life total with the Sylvan Library, and him drawing an extra card every turn is an extra 3 damage to my face every turn. So I wanted to get the Sylvan Library off the table pretty quickly. Was it a mistake not to get the COP red? I don't know, maybe. But I just didn't like the chances of it actually making a difference in the game.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. That the circle's a lot better if you know it's going to stick around for a number of turns. But if you're neither pressuring him and there's so many answers from James, that probably just wouldn't do that much.
Yeah, and the Sylvan is going to give him the opportunity to find an answer to your COP red anyway. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we were talking about Sulfuric Vortex, and I was thinking that there might even be spots where it wouldn't even be that good because Ron does have so many opportunities. Like if there's a Sphere of Resistance in play, and Ron, like the way this was it the first game or the second game?
Yeah, game 1 where it just got locked out.
Yeah, Ron does a good job of pressuring your life total. It's certain positions, and so I thought there would be a chance that Sulfuric Vortex was a liability, but it definitely was a workhorse in those games that you won.
Well, in game 2, I very, very nearly raced him with Manlands.
Mm-hmm.
Game 3 had the Ravenous.
In game 2, at the end of the game, I had the Seal of Cleansing on board. Kind of just that was my final insurance, right, for the Mishra's Factory if it was going to be animated.
Right.
I think I was still only going to go to 1 in that game, but it's starting to come close, especially with my mana base.
If it would have gone 1 more turn, you would have gone to 0 because I had the
the port. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because obviously, Circle Protection Red can be very good against Sulfuric Vortex, can really start to backfire. But I feel like turns 1 through 5, let's call it, is my opportunity to pressure life total significantly. And then it's, can I whittle it down from some single digit number to 0? So that's why game 3, I played out the Ball Lightning early, even though the white mana was open. I was just I need to get life total down. Of course, then the swords also works in my favor with Sulfuric Vortex in hand as well. So
yeah, in that spot, if with Sulfuric Vortex as the follow-up, the swords is essentially the same as Ball Lightning hitting me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I mean, I can't just take the hit for 6. I have to swords it.
Yeah.
The chat wants to know, Ron, if you would prefer the nickname of Slippery Ron or Sneaky Ron. Between those two, which one would you prefer?
Oof.
I feel like they're the same. I don't know. Like they have the same connotation in my mind, but I guess a slippery is almost worse. Like I feel like sneaky, you could at least like put a positive spin on it, but to me, a slippery just seems kind of like
It's a little more derogatory.
sleazy car salesman. Either way, it's I don't know. But
I've spent a lot of years in prison, so I'm gonna go with slippery.
all right.
Nice. Very good. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap up?
Commentators with that one.
Well,
I'm definitely gonna have to watch the replay for some context.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was right at the end. Yeah. So, sounds more fisherman. Yeah, slippery. I guess. Yeah, sounds a little bit more.
That's true.
So,
When I'm baiting my hook, I got a real wiggly worm.
yeah. All right. I didn't really add anything to that entire match. I was just trying to talk about anything and anything but Magic. So, um, but yeah, that match actually was pretty cool. So
It was good. Yeah, it was fun to watch.
I probably didn't do it justice, but I entertained. I guess I think I entertained. Maybe people are upset, but all right. But thanks, guys, and we will see you next week.
Congrats,
Have a good
James.
night, guys.
Good luck
Thanks
next
for
week.
Thanks.
All right.
Good match, Ron.
I'm just realizing another thing that I forgot to talk about, and I have some slides about the players, and let's talk about Ron real quick. So his favorite Magic archetype, he says, is Control. I thought it'd be funny if he would have said Prison because of given his nature of his work, but he said his favorite Magic card art is Yawgmoth's Will. That one's pretty sweet. A Ron Spencer one. Do you like that? It's funny because like I can see that card art a lot of times, but I don't even know like what's going on in that card. Are you the same way, or?
Yeah, I'm not really entirely sure what's going on there either.
And I mean, like, it's not that I like don't know the picture. Like, it's in my mind, but I just like have never looked at it closely to like figured out like the shape of the thing, whatever it is. Okay. Which card do you wish was good enough for pre-modern? He says Temporal Spring. So that's the one blue-green sorcery. Put target permanent on top of its library. So it's like kind of like a bad Stone Rain, but also like a good unsummon. I don't know. But yeah, that one I feel like that card would be okay if the supporting cast of, I mean, maybe you could do it like with like Gaia Skyfolk or whatnot, but there's so many holes in like that tempo strategy in pre-modern because you have a hard time like locking anyone out or really controlling. There's no like force of will, or there's the creatures are a little undersized, so yeah, Temporal Spring gets reduced by power, but and since we are around Halloween, we asked them what the best candy bar is, and Ron says Payday. And while I do like Paydays every other week, it's not my favorite candy bar. But
Thank you, Rich Bork, with the rating party of 4.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. So yeah, thank you. Maybe they were playing some old school, and now they're going to pre-modern. So we asked Ron, would you rather fight one Draco-sized hunted Wumpus or 10 hunted Wumpus-sized Dracos? And he said he would rather fight 10 still pretty big Dracos. I mean, a hunted Wumpus is pretty big, right? So, do you have input on that? What would you rather fight?
I would just name Hunted Wumpus while it was still in their hand and make them discard it with Cabal Therapy.
Okay. Well, I guess it's only one hunted Wumpus. It's just a really big one. But all right. Let's move on to talk about James. So his favorite Magic archetype is aggro. So he got to. It's kind of funny because like the Sligh deck is typically an aggro deck, but I feel like he pushed it more to a control deck or a mid range deck
Right.
than others. So I guess that's maybe not the best example of him liking the archetype, but he likes aggro decks. I can appreciate that. His favorite art on a Magic card is the Mercadian Masks Brainstorm, and I am a fan of that one. Nice, simple, nice. I like the symmetry. It's pleasant to look at. Is that you? I think were you saying you kind of like the Ice Age one, or do you?
I think the Mercedes Masks art is better, but I always play the Ice Age one because it's just so nostalgic for me.
Okay. He wishes that Sneak Attack were good enough for Premodern, so that would. I don't know if like how often that would be a good thing for a format. I mean, like I guess it seems a hard window to fit in for Sneak Attack to be good and like not oppressive, but maybe not.
I mean, it could be really good with Dreadnought because you could just pay 1 red and put the Dreadnought right into play, right? You get a 12/12 for 1.
Yeah. um, you could have Fling. You're not saving any mana.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
I guess if you have Stifle, then you get the 12 damage in right away, and then it dies in a turn still, unless you have another Stifle. So
hasty Dreadnought.
Yeah. He says the best candy bar is Hershey's milk chocolate. Flint's shaking his head. I can't agree with that, but I won't go into too much of detail. But I'll give you a little preview for next week or on Thursday. Brian Manalakis and I are going to talk about candy bars to some extent. So we asked, would you rather fight 1 Draco-sized hunted Wumpus or 10 hunted Wumpus-sized Dracos? He wants 1 big hunted Wumpus. He's going to fight that. I don't know how you're ever going to take down that size hunted Wumpus, but maybe you can avoid it in some way. All
These
right.
are the difficult scenarios we put our players in here on the Premodern Showdown Series.
This is how you get to know people. You ask these types of questions. You want to really learn what James is about. You got to ask him the tough, hard-hitting questions about him fighting these mythical beasts. So, with that, we have a short intermission while we get our players set up for our second match, and we'll be back with some more nonsense. I think that's the story. That's the theme of tonight's show, thanks to me. So, not that Flint's doing anything wrong, but I'm the.
Of course not. See you soon.
All right. All right, everybody, we are back from our break. We have John and Jared ready to start their match. So let's go through the decks that are available to them and what decks they're playing. So their bans. So John has Survival Elves, Star Spangled Slaughter, and the Prison Oath deck. The Prison Oath deck we will not see again. We got to see it with Ron. John won't be playing it. That has been banned by Jared. Jared has Red-Green Goblins, Draco Blast, and 5-color Terrageddon. His Terrageddon deck has been banned. So Flint, your batting average is very good. So the all powerful brain of Flint predict what John and Jared are going to play.
Oh goodness. I'm going to say John is going to roll with elves, and Jared is going to pick. I think he's going to go goblins. We're going to see Tribal War.
Okay. Well, let's go figure out the big brain of Flint. Didn't get that one. So Star Spangled Slaughter is what John has gone with.
Oh, curses.
So the blue, white, red tempo mid-range somewhat control deck. You can call it whatever you want, but it's still a pretty good deck. So the is there anything I guess you want to talk about this deck? I know we've seen it a number of times because both John and James have played it. What do you want to add? What do you want to say?
Not much. Tempo deck. 1-for-1's a lot, so not very good against go wide strategies, and it's pretty rough if you're playing against land destruction. So I think John's going to hope that Jared's not on elves, or excuse me, on goblins, because if Jared's on goblins, it's a tough match.
Okay. And we see the goblins is the deck that Jared picks. And I guess, I mean, on paper, I don't feel like the Star Spangled Slaughter deck should have the worst matchup, but we've seen this matchup twice, in the Showdown series, and it has not gone well for the blue, white, red deck. So we'll see tonight if that trend will continue, or if things will go well for the 3-color mana base, and we'll be able to equalize, or not equalize, but maybe show us that the deck can interact with the Goblin deck.
It's definitely winnable for Angel McAngel Face, but it's not an easy matchup.
Yeah. So I just have this slide like tucked away, and I just keep bringing it back. It's nice that I don't have to update anything, but I'll go over like cards like Lightning Bolt and Swords of Plowshares. Those cheap interaction spells are nice because it does give you insurance against the turn 1 lackey, and then just even if you're trading like 1 mana for 3 mana for like a War Chief or something, it does a good job of a good exchange for the blue, white, red deck. And then out of the sideboard, there's a couple copies of Pyroclasm, and that's really the only sweeper, but it really just does change the dynamic of the game that the Goblins deck needs to respect a sweeper. So out of the Goblins deck, Goblin Ringleader is a sweet one because we talked about how the Star Spangled Slaughter deck likes to go 1-for-1, and if a Ringleader resolves, then it's a good way for the Goblin deck to gain back card advantage and get back in the game. And then Pile Driver, the protection for blue is actually pretty relevant. When there's a Meddling Mage or a Lightning Angel, it's not going to be able to be blocked by those. And it's possible that some of the spot removal spells need to be used on other things like a War Chief or a Lackey. So a Pile Driver might come down whether it has haste or not. If it isn't removed, it could be attacking for a lot of damage. Okay, I'm ready to start if you are, Flint.
Well, let's do it. I will message the players.
All right, I'll throw up my poll. I got it ready. Chat, you need to predict who's going to win this match. I guess we should say that Jared is on the play. And it looks like he's keeping 7 cards. So that aspect looks good for the Goblins deck. So the only important cards are red. Yep, that's what I predict. All right, Skirk Prospector. So not the 1-drop that's feared by many, but this guy, in some matchups, maybe not necessarily this one, this guy is a lot more powerful than he looks, I guess. It gives you a lot of options of things that you can do and be a lot more explosive. So the Skirk Prospector will serve for 1, and John will take it, and then Jared has a follow-up Goblin Pile Driver. So, all right, that one gets Swords to Plowshares. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, yeah, if you just look at that board, like, that's presenting 4 damage just with 2 creatures. So that's a reasonable clock at that. But so John has a City of Brass. So has access to all his colors, but at the cost of life. And Jared does have Wasteland, so which we do see. Mike says he put his money on Jared, even though I don't know who's playing what.
John deciding here if he's going to use that City of Brass before he goes to the old bin. Looks like he will. Maybe a fire here.
Yeah, that could be an interesting spot because here, like, Jared could respond. Okay, predict. I was gonna say if there was a card like Fire, you could respond by sacking the Prospector, then like turboing out a War Chief. But the predict presumably named Mountain.
Yeah.
And then.
But he did get a Wasteland, which is pretty good. So War Chief getting in here with some help from Skirk Prospector, a sacrifice.
All right, so yeah, so even though the removal spell was not, there was not a removal spell pointed at the Prospector, Jared still took that opportunity to deploy a War Chief.
Yep.
Jared said he's a fan of John's jumbo dice. Certainly,
yeah, those are really nice.
Certainly nice and easy to read. All right, we got a Pile Driver.
So this is interesting because they basically been going 1-for-1 for the most part. And so if John can just smooth his mana base out a little bit, he could potentially, get into a meddling mage on a ringleader, for example. And then if he gets some pressure, he could take this game. But what he doesn't want to see is any kind of a go wide strategy here from Jared. So a siege gang is rough. A ringleader at some point would be really rough. But right now, there's kind of this nice back and forth. The only issue right now is just John's mana base.
Yeah, and given that he's okay, so he's got 2 white mana, but there's a gemstone mine that's in play. Uh, he's using that for blue. He used it on a Portent, which he shuffled away. So presumably that he's looking for certain colors of mana and did not find it, and that gemstone mine only has a couple more uses before it goes to the graveyard. So while John does have access to all the colors, and it is only temporary.
Timely Shivan Reef.
Yeah, that helps out a little bit. There could be a card like Lightning Angel, which does a lot in like other. I guess Pro Blue does come up, but does a good job of stopping the goblins from attacking if John is at a respectable life total. Looks like he's going for a Portent, and he does opt to take a damage as compared to use another counter on that gemstone mine. All right, so John keeps these 3 on top. And then he's passing the turn, and then we'll draw a card.
So Jared here a little short on mana now, it looks like.
Yeah, since he used that Wasteland, he has had just the 2 mana. So the Pile Driver tries to attack, but that one got bolted, it looked like.
Yep. But then he follows it up with that lackey that he's probably been sandbagging in his hand for a while now. Ooh. There's the fire.
Well, John has to take a damage to cast that, and he takes a damage for sacking the Mog Fanatic.
Okay. So passing it right back. So now John gets to go and search for an island here, which will be nice. So now he just needs some pressure. I mean, if he can just apply, if he can just cast a Lightning Angel or an Exalted Angel, he's in really, 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 really good shape here. A Meddling Mage on Ringleader would be pretty good as well, but you could argue that he doesn't need to name Ringleader yet. But I don't know what else you would name.
Yeah, I can see situations like Jared's hand probably has stuff like Goblin Matron or whatnot, given he has a number of cards in hand because he hasn't hit land drops. So I think if like a Meddling Mage came down, he'd be able to. Oh, well, Ringleader came down a little quicker than we thought. The Ancient Tomb turbos that out. Jared does take 2 damage down to 16, but I think, well, he only got an Incinerator, which is below average, but in general, I think that is a card you're pretty excited to see from Jared's perspective.
And despite that haste, obviously can't attack into the Lightning Angel. So that Vigilance doing some work.
Yeah, it does a lot of work in these type of situations where normally the threat that you'd play would tap and then Jared would be able to chip in for some damage, but Lightning Angel does both offense and defense pretty well.
So Lightning Angel going to get in there again.
John has himself at 8. Did I miss? How did...
He took some damage from tapping some of his lands and
okay.
sacking fetch lands.
I
so
definitely missed.
He's been chipped down.
Land. Yeah. So okay. Glad you've rejoined us, Mike. Unfortunately,
so here comes Siege Gang. I mean, those were the 2 cards that I'd mentioned would really help Jared kind of fight his way back in here. But we do see a Memory Lapse. Very nice.
Memory Lapse is a good way to answer that 5-mana spell. Though, I mean, I guess, yeah, when you're taking damage to cast that, then it can really reduce your life total pretty quick. as Jared's now at 8 as well.
See an important Jared here? Oh no, he's doing his own library. I thought we were going to see it, Mike.
We have a follow from the Real Salties, so welcome.
Welcome.
Hope you're enjoying everything. All right, Siege Gang, here's attempt number 2.
Oh, and another memory lapse. All right.
And
Tempo deck doing work.
Memory lapse number 2. And now that Jared's at 6.
It's game. Yeah. All right. Fire, ice, fire, and then swinging in with the angel will do it. Okay.
Going to a midnight hunt draft tomorrow. Any tips? I would try and draft blue black or blue white. That would be the card quality in those two colors are higher than the other colors from my understanding. So we're looking a game up for John. So we finally get to see the Star Spangled Slaughter deck do its thing against goblins. So the sideboard for John will see 2 Pyroclasm come into play, 3 Blue Blasts, and maybe a Slice and Dice.
Yeah, I think you still bring in Slice and Dice.
What cards are you not interested in?
Disenchant.
Disenchant. So there's 2 of those. Do you like Memory Lapse, or do you like...
I'm trying to think back to how I boarded when I played this. I think I took out Predict.
Okay.
And I took out Disenchant. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe 1 Memory Lapse.
Okay.
I think that's what I ended up doing.
All right, we'll jump over to Jared's list. So the green splash here, that was what he has access to, which provides him Naturalize, which doesn't seem to be that effective in this match. So Collar the Claw could be okay. It doesn't seem like it's insane, but could be a card he brings in. I think the Red Elemental Blast and the Pyroblast are cards that you would expect to bring in. I mean, I think even bringing in the other Jump Home Incinerator is fine because while that game, Jared really never flooded the board, there's going to be often game states where you do get a number of creatures in play, and it's basically an uncounterable way to kill cards as big as Lightning Angel. So
yeah, I really like Color of the Claw just because it's that card advantage strategy that really plays well against Angel McAngel Face. And I think the blasts are obviously good. Maybe Pyrokinesis. The only problem with Incinerator is it's only good when you already are ahead on your board state, right? Because you've racked up your goblins and you're really looking to kill the angels, right? Because that's how John closes out the game. So I might actually board in a Pyrokinesis before I board in an Incinerator, but that's just
that'd be
me.
fine.
I'm not a goblins player.
I don't think the Collars are that effective. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like there's that many board states where it'd be that good. I mean, there's 2 Hearth Charms in here, which I'm not very impressed by. So I think those come out, but
yeah.
Beyond that, I don't know exactly. I guess Sharpshooters aren't great. So I would expect those to come out, but I'll jump back down in the match as I gave a game win to the wrong player.
Starting Ron off with a win, giving Jared a win here.
Well, the one thing is, so I have this little scoreboard thing, and there's 4 different lines, and it goes Life Player 1, Life Player 2, Games 1, Player 2, Games 1, Player 1. So I think when I set it up, I screwed up the order, and I don't know if I can redo it, and so it's not the intuitive order that you might think. So that's what I'll blame it on.
It looks like John is taking a mulligan here. I'm not sure if Jared did. He may have.
The one thing in this matchup where Goblin Lackey, a lot of times you look at it and you're like, I'm going to play this lackey or mulligan more aggressively to lackey because it really shapes the way the game goes. But there's just so many answers out of John's deck that it's like I don't even feel like I would value it that high in my opening hand. I mean, obviously you're going to play it on turn one and you're
Yeah.
really happy if it connects, but it's it's not a card I'm really like mulliganing for like I would in other matchups.
No, I think Jared just wants a threat heavy hand and, you know, a hand where he can make some early plays because John is not going to keep a hand where he doesn't have turn one interaction, would be my guess. But here we do see the lackey. So let's see how this plays out. Hey, thanks,
Right.
NJ Geronimo. Glad you're enjoying it. Welcome.
Like the bolt is immediately deployed on the lackey, so no connection will be made with the 1/1. But we have an Ancient Tomb on turn two. While it's only turboing out a Goblin Matron, uh, the effects of this could really cascade.
Oh, yeah. Just go get a ringleader and then continue to build up your card advantage. Yep.
So, do you know all the arts of Goblin Matron?
I do not. I know there's one. Is it Portal or?
Yeah, Portal Second Age.
Yeah.
And then there's the Urza Saga one, and then there's also the 7th edition one. Do you know that one?
I can't recall what that one looks like off the top of my head.
It's I was gonna say it's feminine looking, but obviously with the card name Matron, that should be a given. Though I guess the second Portal Second Age one is not that feminine looking. As it's kind of this
Okay.
weird.
Yeah, I've seen this one.
Yeah, I know this card was very expensive in foil because the black bordered 7th edition cards were always really popular.
Oh yeah.
But
So
Urza's,
John just with a Chivalrous and a pass back here.
yeah, I think I like the Urza Saga one. Also, like I kind of like this art, but it's white bordered, so and I don't really like foils. I don't particularly like the Portal Second Age one. All right, back to the game. A Goblin Ringleader was attempted, but memory lapse puts that back on top of the library. So
Yeah, I think Urza Saga is my favorite as well.
I guess I don't remember the newest printing. Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that one.
Oh yeah.
But to each his own. I mean, like, if you want to play any of the versions, you can.
So John's got all three colors, which is nice, but there is that ringleader on top of the library. Hmm.
Right, white mana is for Mother of Ruins, which, if it gets to the point where it's active, could be a little bit difficult for Jared to deal with. 1990s booger color gobos are the best gobos. You're a fan of how the Mogs look? That was one thing I never liked. I never liked like the Mog flunkies. Just how I mean the card art on Mog flunkies is fine per se, but I didn't like how I like the
Mike, look
oh
what's happening.
important.
Yep. So we saw the ringleader, obviously. I think we saw Collar of the Claw. And what was the other one?
I didn't see. I'm trying to bring up Mog flunkies here. Yeah, I never liked the Mogs. Oh, Pyroblast.
It was a Pyroblast. Ooh, wow. Pretty good shuffle there. Oh, he has the ringleader. Wonder if he drew it or if he had one in hand. Siege Gang, War Chief, Pile Driver, and Lackey. Wow, brutal.
Jared has to take 2 more, right? This is the 3rd time he's used that. He should be at 14.
Yeah, John's got him at 14.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like Did he hit 4 cards off that?
Yeah, he did.
Well, that's a good card. The dreaded draw 4 ringleader. And people say blue is the card advantage color. Not when your deck is all full of goblins. Ancestral Recall Gobbo. That's not even, that wouldn't even be as good.
So
Oh,
John taking the damage and
John's
then
down to 14. Okay. Oh, and then yeah, that's big for the Mog Fanatic to come down the turn that before the Mother of Runes is online.
Yeah.
That's very good for Jared. Opportunity Gobbo. Yes. That's a good goblin.
All right. Add some pressure to the board. I mean, he follows this up with a card like Pyroclasm. That's pretty good.
All right, so the cards, I mean, like War Chief and Pile Driver are a big looming threat that, like, that like, here, you could just go. How many red sources are there?
He's
So
got 3 red sources,
you
so
couldn't.
he could do
So
both.
I was just say, like, because
Right?
I think it's Lackey is that other card too. I was just say if he had a 4th source, he could play Lackey, Pile Driver, and War Chief, and that would be attack for like 13 damage, I think. And then you'd be able to put a Siege Gang into play or something. But
I mean, Jared really has to consider a card like Pyroclasm here. I mean, there aren't a lot, obviously, that John can board in. But fortunately, hitting 4 off of Ringleader puts him in a good position regardless. It's just what he wants to commit to the board right now. But I do think War Chief and Pile Driver is absolutely reasonable.
well, yeah, I guess you could do that now because if and while you won't be able to attack for that 13 that I talked about because then the follow up play, like if there's this is a Goblin King and there's a Mountain in play.
Ooh, wow.
I'm surprised Jared didn't black border his 5th edition Goblin King.
Right?
All right, so he attacked for 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, there's a Lackey. John not blocking, obviously, playing around a Jump Bomb Incinerator.
Well, he can't block. There's a Mountain in play.
Oh, never mind. We just said that.
Yeah.
John thinking here.
It jumps up. I mean, because if there's not a, I guess there's always the threat of like if this Goblin King gets removed mid combat, then things get a little bit hairier for from Jared's perspective. That like you could lose a couple of cards or whatnot. But I don't know. Like if this Goblin King's sticking around, and even if it like if if just the Goblin King dies, and like how many cards does John have in his hand?
I think just 2.
Yeah, because then that might just clear the way for like the War Chief Pile Driver line that we talked about before, and that Pro Blue. Like, how big would this Pile Driver be? Like, assuming that the Goblin King dies, I think it was 13 is what I said. It's the same as what I predicted last time if he had the other source. Okay, so here's a Meddling Mage, which will prevent the board from getting worse. I don't know if it's on a War Chief or a Pile Driver, but the Mountain Walk is just, I guess,
Brutal.
well, and there's a Lackey in play. Like that's to be able to put like Siege Gang into play. And is John just? I think is he just dead? Like is this King stays around? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and then John's at 9. The Siege Gang can come into play, and there's multiple activations that can be used. So Jared just has to think what happens if there's a removal spell for the King. And
Yeah, there's a bolt for the king here.
And there is. Oh, what is this, Jared on?
Yeah, you declared your attack, and John played a spell.
I don't know. Maybe there was something that I was missing, but yeah, it definitely seems like Jared was attacking. So, if Jared's tapping mana, is there an incinerator?
Yep.
Okay, so that can get rid of the either the meddling mage or the lightning angel. Okay, so before the king dies, the meddling or the lightning angel will die. And then the king goes down.
Yeah, and he blocks Lackey and takes 3.
I mean, if the incinerator weren't there, then I think that exchange would have been a lot worse for Jared. Like, I don't feel like you feel that bad because you got Lightning Angel off the board. And here we see a pile driver come down and looking like presenting lethal, I guess, right now, because that pile driver would be for 5, and then at least one of the other creatures would get through. So there's a Mother of Runes, but here with just the War Chief. Oh no, because the Mother of Runes can block the pile driver. Oh, and a morph. So presumably Exalted Angel, though I guess in theory it could be a Dwarven Blast Miner.
It could be, but probably not, but it could be.
This Exalted Angel is real big. Okay, so but Jared has a bunch of mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So Jared has 9 mana. Mm-hmm. So if you played Siege Gang for 5, you have 2 mana or 4 mana that you could use to activation. So he would go to 1. He'd be able to kill the Mother of Runes and the Exalted Angel, and then attack with all 3 creatures. The Meddling Mage can't block. He would block the Ringleader, and that's 6 damage. I think that's game. I think Jared has it, unless I'm missing something. Oh no, because the 1 red mana, he only has 1 activation of the Siege Gang because one of those red sources is a Carclusion Forest. So because he would have to use Ancient Tomb twice. So that would put him to 1, so he can't use the Carclusion Forest.
Oh, yeah.
So...
yeah, he only gets 1 Siege Gang activation.
But what you can do is play the Siege Gang and kill the Exalted Angel, and then attack, and that will force the Mother of Runes to block. So the Mother of Runes would either block with the Matron or block the pile driver, or I guess you could have the Mother of Runes block the pile driver and then like the Meddling Mage block either of the other two. So I think that's what I would do is I think I would go for Siege Gang and kill the Exalted Angel and then attack.
So he's going to take 2 here and go to 3 to play the Matron.
Okay, so what does this change? So
Gem Palm?
Oh, I'm way behind on the life totals up here. So Gem Palm. So if you Gem Palm Exalted Angel here, is this better than Siege Gang though? I guess if you're so here if you Gem Palm here and then you play War Chief, right? But then he should have played War Chief first. He's cycling. Why is he cycling for 3? I'm confused. Because it's 3 mana was the Ancient Tomb in the Mountain. That was to cast the Matron. So I guess with this line, if you would have cast War Chief first, then played Matron, and then got Gem Palm Incinerator and killed then would force the block on. I guess unless I'm missing something.
We don't know what Meddling Mage named, do we?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
It could be like Siege Gang Commander. Okay, I guess. Yeah, I'm forgetting about the card that it named. So
John drawn off the top here. Oh my god. He drew a bolt. This game.
All right. Well, Lightning Bolt ends this game in a spectacular fashion. Here I'm trying to do all this
Ooh.
math, and looks like the Star Spangled Slaughter deck is able to just blast the Goblins player out. So yeah, from a position where John definitely didn't look favored, but the damage from Jared's lands actually really added up. So I'll jump over to the match or the players so we can listen to what they're saying.
Fire and Ice is good enough because I can shoot and then attack.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Bummer. Yeah. You have so much removal, and normally I wouldn't have found it to be.
Yeah.
Those memory lapses are so annoying. God.
What was the meddling mage naming?
War Chief.
War Chief. So
Yeah. I wonder if I had a different line there. I'm
well,
gonna look forward to
so Jared, if you just play Siege Gang and kill the Exalted Angel and then attack,
But I mean, I had so many options, but it was all going to deal me damage. You know, that was the problem. So, all right.
John, can you tell Jared to unmute?
Here.
Jared, are you
He's doing it
unmuted
right
then?
now.
I'm not. I'm about to. I'm
Oh.
sorry. All right. Oh man. Well,
So
I had to play to win the game.
well, so Jared, if you, I guess it still would have put you to 3, so it wouldn't have played around Bolt. But if you just played Siege Gang and killed the Exalted Angel and then attacked with everything, because you couldn't activate it twice because your third
'cause my mana.
red source was a damage.
Right. Yeah.
You could have gone to 1 and cast Siege Gang, and then killed Exalted, and then attacked with everything. That was just what I was thinking, but I guess that doesn't change anything for Bolt. I'm trying to think.
Doesn't change anything for Bolt or much else. I mean, I guess that would have had me have a better board presence, so I would have had more things on the board. But
It would have removed Fire Ice, isn't it?
no, because I would have gone to 1. I think.
Yeah, he would have gone to 1 to cast.
Oh, you would have gone to 1? Oh.
Yeah, 'cause-
never
yeah.
mind.
I guess you could have tapped the forest and the. Wait, you had 9 mana. 2 of them were Ancient Tombs and one was a Corruption Forest.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was an actual forest.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to look at that one again and see what I could have done different. So I felt like I had it. I feel like I had it, and then it was just I don't know. I just took a lot. I did take a lot of damage from my own lands, which I kind of expect, but thought I still had a good chance there, especially in that game.
Yeah.
You know, he had some outs, like you said. He had Fire and Ice as an out. He had a Lightning Angel that would have just attacked, and then a Bolt, of course. But but still, my percentage to win that game is pretty high at that point. But he had outs.
Yeah.
So it would definitely went a little differently than the last time when I played against, I think, James on the Star Spangled Slaughter Angel McFace Fire Patriot deck.
Yeah.
So because I think he stumbled on his mana a little more, whereas John did not.
I mean, the first game he stumbled, I would say.
But I
just,
wasn't able to punt it.
Yeah.
I thought I was able to punt. That's why I fired off the Wasteland, because I knew how well that worked in the last time we played that matchup, and he just didn't. After that, he just didn't stumble as much. Of course, I wasn't drawing any lands then. I couldn't apply any more pressure. I had my 3 drops in my hand.
Yeah.
But 3, 4, 5 drops. So that happens sometimes.
I do want to quickly thank XJ Moon. They've gifted a sub to Madden 87, so appreciate that. So yeah, I guess John, were you worried at all of bringing the Star Spangled Slaughter deck, given that the times we've seen this deck play against goblins, it's kind of just rolled over and died?
I mean, I was a little nervous about it.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't think either of my options were particularly good.
Okay.
But
yeah,
I
felt good in both matchups too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured Patriot was a slightly better option.
Yeah, I think so. That and it's well, yeah, I agree that it definitely has the tools to beat. I guess either of the decks I feel like that Jared would bring. So
Yeah, I basically figured like Goblins is going to be mediocre for either matchup, and then if he plays the black red deck, I'd rather be on Patriot because the Engineered Plagues. So
That makes sense. Yeah, for me it was I felt good. Like I felt like with the Goblins Elves matchup, I played it a little bit, and it's actually not terrible, especially because I have two sharpshooters main, and so I mean, if he gets the Master Core going, I think that's with a lot of mana, then I've definitely lost. But I think I had some good options. Jump Palm's great, and that Fanatic's pretty good. There's a lot of ways to get in that, kind of control his board. Actually, considering it's an aggro deck, but Goblins, I mean, and in this matchup, I feel like if I could get I land that one ringleader that drew me 4 cards, but I just couldn't play out my threats enough without taking probably 8 to 10 damage from my own lands, unfortunately. But I mean, he answers turn 1 Lackey better than pretty much any other deck in the field, I think, between swords, bolts, and even fire ice on the draw on the play. So that's definitely a huge benefit.
John, that keyboard looks so tiny.
It is a smaller keyboard.
I will not buy it. Keep without a number pad. I cannot do it.
I love the number pad.
I'm so slow at typing in numbers. If I had to do it on the home row thing,
you get used to it.
Oh well, I type on a number pad all day long, so it's like.
I mean, if you're doing a lot of data entry, then it obviously doesn't make sense.
So. So I don't know that. I guess I was just trying to figure out how Jared could win. I had completely forgot about the Meta League Majors actually naming a card, so I wasn't considering that you couldn't play War Chief. But I was. It felt like I'll have to look back too because it felt like there was a way that you could win, but maybe there wasn't. But yeah, those are the kind of situations that are really cool with the Goblin deck because you do have a lot of control of what can happen with the matrons and whatnot, and so.
Yeah, I knew I wanted if there was a way to win that turn, I didn't see it.
I don't think there was.
I could have gotten another king.
Did you have a second king?
I think I did. Yeah, I think I had a second king. That would have been the way to win it. Now I see it. then they all would have gotten in, and then I would have won. Yeah, okay, that was the way to win it. Okay. Yeah, I forgot I boarded in the second king. All right. Yeah, so because he had the mountain that whole game. Yeah, so that was the way to do it. Yeah, I just
that would do it.
Yeah, that would do it because I had 3 attackers and they would have all been mountain walking and they would have gotten the pump and he just added cards. Yeah, that was definitely the one to do. So we figured it out, but 10 minutes too late. But,
next time.
Yeah. When you mix up, if you don't play a deck, for 3 weeks or something like that, in between these matches. It definitely you kind of forget, or even during a monthly when you take a week or 2 off in between, you miss some lines that you definitely could have won. But yeah, I still like playing a variety deck, so it's fun.
It was exciting nonetheless. Yeah, I was
really
just in shock when the bolt just got flipped over. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to add. No nicknames were handed out to either of you during this match. I don't know if you guys watched the first one, but
I did, yeah.
So.
Not this time. Maybe next time, guys. I'll work on it.
All right.
I look forward to it.
Well, thanks, guys. Congratulations, John. And don't worry, Jared. You're still in good shape for hitting that top 4 mark. So there's a few more weeks, or three more weeks left. Is that right? Or 2 more weeks? 2.
2 more weeks.
2
more weeks. This is the 5th. This is the 5th. Yeah.
So, all right. So, thanks, guys. Flint and I we have a little bit. I guess we have these get to know slides about John and Jared that we could talk about briefly. But
okay.
All
right. Take care.
Bye. Yeah. Good night, guys. Thanks for the games.
Bye.
Okay. So we'll jump over to these here. Let's look at John. So. Unfortunately, John didn't answer all my questions, so there's less on his slide. But his favorite Magic archetype is Prison. I do associate Mud with him, so I think that's fitting. So, Though I think when I talk to him, he'll play. It's not like he really like favors Prison. It's just like it's a good deck and he enjoys playing it and whatnot. He'll play like any good pre-modern deck. So his favorite Magic card art is the Mercadian Masks Dark Ritual. So whenever that Facebook poll goes up, which is every so often, of which is the best Dark Ritual art, uh, he'll vote the Mercadian one. Which reminds me, I guess, did you see the poll on that Tom put up on which is the best Disenchant art?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, because it's like I looked at those and I looked at them real quick. So there's the Alpha Beta, there's the Ice Age one, there is the Tempest one, there's the Mercadian Masks one, and the Arena promo. And I
There's
like
Tempest and Mirage too, right? Did you see
there's
those?
yes, there's a Mirage. I did say Tempest. I did forget
Okay.
about the Mirage. And it's kind of like I don't particularly like the Mirage or the Tempest ones. All the other ones I think are like good to
Do you
find.
like
Oh,
the 7th edition.
there's
one?
a 7th edition one. I kind of like that one, but it's whiteboarded, and I don't think it's better than the other ones, but I like all of them pretty equally. I'm pretty indifferent about them, but a lot of times I don't know why I pick the Mercadian Masks one. But that would probably
that one's
get my
kind of
vote.
goofy.
Yes.
I like the Mirage one, but I tend to play the promo one
Okay.
most often.
If I had betas, I for sure would just play the. I have one beta, but
Nice.
so I would play those. But going on, so John would rather fight one big hunted Wumpus as compared to 10 hunted Wumpus-sized Dracos. So good to know. Good to know. Just in case we're ever in that situation, and there's like door number
Never
one and door
know.
number two. All right, on to Jared. His favorite archetype is aggro, and I like that. I can respect a good aggro. So his favorite Magic card art is the Mirage Mountain. I'm gonna assume it's one of them, but I won't say anything because if it turns out not to be the one, like Bob will just like find where Jared lives and just like hunt him down. So
I know which one he's referring to because we talked about it on the pre-modcast.
Oh, I mean I listened to it, but I don't even remember. Oh, okay, then I do know which one you're talking about. All right.
Yeah.
Which card do you wish was good enough for pre-modern? He says Fires of Yavimaya. So I know people have tried, and people gotten closer. I feel like recently, but still not as good as what people remember. The best candy bar is Reese's. Are you a fan of Reese's?
I like Reese's, but I wouldn't say that's my favorite. I actually like Reese's Pieces better than regular Reese's. And if I'm gonna go peanut butter, Butterfinger is my candy bar choice. It's
Okay.
one of my all-time favorites.
Though, didn't I feel like Butterfinger changed their like recipe? It's not the same.
Still good to me.
It's significantly worse. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being an old man. I'm yelling at the clouds right now, but
How dare you change my recipe?
Jared is with John, and he will fight one big hunted Wumpus.
All right.
All right. So some very important insight to our players. It's good to get to know them. So that's where we're at. But
You see the question in chat?
No, I didn't.
In New Jersey or NJ Geronimo asks, "What are your favorite pre-modern decks?" Mike, what are your favorite pre-modern decks?
It's hard to pick just one because there are so many. I guess
You could probably name a couple. I think that'd probably be okay.
if there's a deck that I feel like I like more than a lot of people, and I think it better than what a lot of people think is, I would say Balancing Tings. Like that is a deck that I really enjoy playing because being able to reset the board is like really fun. Like you often get to play a longer game of Magic, which I think is fun, and I think it's better than people give it respect for. So that is the first one to come to my mind. I know I also like will sing the song of The Rock a lot just because again it gets to play Magic. Like you get to duress and cabal therapy them and the game slows down, and the games usually develop into turn like 7 or 8, like as compared to sometimes they're condensed just down to turn 3 or 4. So I like games of Magic that do go on a little bit longer. And then nostalgia wise, Goblins is one of my favorite. I started in the Onslaught era, and that was the first standard deck I ever played. So those are the quick answers, though. There's a lot of decks I like.
I would have to say I love my lands deck. With the Horn of Greed and Exploration combo. It's pretty good. Not as good as it used to be in the older meta, but pretty good. And then I really like Hermit Druid decks, and I love the Dreadnought hybrid version, just because Stifle gives that deck a lot more reach because you can stop cards like Tormod's Crypt. And nostalgia-wise, anything run and replenish is very nostalgic for me. So any of the iterations of that deck, I really love.
Even uh the Mark Eric Vogt, the land still one with replenish, the one of replenish.
I would say that is probably not a replenish deck, but
Right. You said I think you
you
said
get style points.
I
Get
believe
style
you
points
said
for
any
sure.
deck with replenish. I think that's what you said.
I did say that.
All right.
Replenish deck, we'll say.
Okay. Um, they're talking about Mirage Forests. Oh, and Ice Age and Ice Age Forest. Okay, we're talking about lands, which we could go on for a long time. Maybe
Oh
that's
yeah, this
maybe
is a conversation that you and I have had at great lengths many nights.
I do remember because the app that I use a lot of times I would I would save them to my phone and then like send them to like Clint, like this is the land I'm talking about.
Yep.
And I remember like going through my photos and it saved them and I'm like, oh, I remember this conversation. But
Oh yes.
all right, I will pull up our schedule. We'll look ahead to the rest of this week. So again, we have a little bit of a fluctuation in our typical schedule. We only have one Premodern Showdown Series match on Thursday, and then the later night match will be a coverage of the Premodern Super Gauntlet. I'm not sure which match I'm going to do. I'll have to figure that out. So I will let you guys know when I decide on that. And then also, we're going to have Brian Manolakis step in the booth with me. Flint is going to take a break. He's getting all things packed up as he moves. So he's going to take the Thursday off to get things ready. But if you're unfamiliar with Mano, he is the host of the All Things Considered podcast and also was on the Premodern Showdown Series 2. So it's always exciting to have him in the booth, and we should have some fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Hopefully, Flint, you're looking forward to listening to that episode.
I'll have it on in the background while I'm packing.
All right. I will take a quick moment to thank everyone for tuning in. We had some follows and some subscriptions. I want to also thank you for supporting the channel in that way. And then thanks to the players for doing this. I guess I don't thank them enough that it is a commitment to do this for this amount of time, and we do appreciate them working with us to find a schedule and put on this production that we are enjoying. So thank you to the players as well. Any quick words before we head out, Flint?
Thanks, Rich Bork, for the channel raid. Thanks for watching. I enjoyed the chat tonight. Enjoyed the commentary. I know we were a little off topic at times, but hopefully that was entertaining for you all. And I'm looking forward to seeing how the series wraps up in the next couple of weeks.
All right. With that, I will say until next time, take care.
Night, everybody.